Welcome to 45South, and I'm Annie Baxter, and I'm here to read the news for you and introduce to this evening's programmes. Right, up first is our local news. So Oamaru shines for train trippers. Dunedin visitors to Oamaru yesterday commented about how warmly they were invited to the town and said they loved the atmosphere and the attractions that was on offer. 400 visitors and ended up on the train from the Tari Gorge and were in and around Oamaru from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m, spending time in the precinct and around the harbour area. Visitors and locals alike all deemed the day to be a huge success, with the cafes and restaurants, dairies, ice cream shops all reporting a very, very good day's trading. One stall holder at the Oamaru Farmers Market believed that they nearly doubled their usual Sunday takings, with others saying they had definitely done better than usual. The Heli Adventures, who are offering 5 to 10 minute flights over Oamaru and surrounding areas for $60, said they had done about 13 flights by 1 p.m. A spokesman said that this time they were awaiting another influx of people to book their flight after lunch. Several of the visitors applauded the efforts of the Tourism Waitaki in getting staff on the train at Palmerston, saying that they were able to hit the ground running and have a great day out. So that's wonderful, isn't it? Us putting a good show on for these visitors on one of the best days in spring so far. Now, our second item we have here is the Waitaki candidates give their views. Close to 100 people turned out to hear 5 Waitaki political candidates have their say to Grey Power at question and answer session at the Oamaru RSA on Saturday. I'm absolutely stoked with the turnout here today, with the questions asked and the fantastic candidates all gave some superb answers. The aim of the meeting was to help the community know who was representing them and which party, and a bit on what each party was looking to do. Mr. Mackenzie said the majority of people who attended the meeting had probably by now decided who they were going to vote for. The topics raised both by Grey Power and the members of the public included the cost of electricity, the care of elderly, the suitable amount for the minimum wage and the living wage, and the problems with water in the country, and advertising relating to alcohol and unhealthy eating. While the candidates had different opinions on some of these issues raised, they were all happy to admit that they had a limited knowledge on specific topics and were prepared to show that they were agreed with certain points that the other candidates made. So there we have an introduction to what's going on with our politics in the country, and need to keep reading to see what we can learn more and make the right choices. Now, our last story we've got here, and I'm sure many people are happy to hear about this. The Averys stay put for now. Bearing a change of heart from the council, the bird aviaries at the Oamaru Public Gardens are set to stay. One of the aviaries has at least 5 years remaining before it needs to be demolished and be rebuilt, while the other aviaries has a little bit longer. The Waitaki District Council Community Service Committee has recommended that the aviaries should remain where they are for the next 5 years before they're relocated. The full council will decide at a meeting on September the 17th whether or not to adopt this recommendation. Council recreation managers said that the aviaries are likely to stay put. We aren't going to move them for at least 5 years, and working with the community services and found this was the best idea. They will be fine, and closer to the time we will look at relocating and making sure that they have more sun. As part of the draft services management plan, there was a proposal either to demolish the aviaries or relocate them. And the plan went for public discussion, and the submissions were received from pupils of Oamaru North School, who invited the Mayor, Gary Kircher, to visit them and discuss this matter with them. So there's good news for all our birds, isn't it? They're going to be staying put, and we can enjoy them for the next 5 years. So there we are, that's the news, and I shall be reading you the weather in a minute. Right, I'm back here. Now we've got the weather. Today by 1 p.m. the temperature was 11 centigrade. Our overnight low is expected to be 2 centigrade. Tomorrow, Tuesday, the high will be 14 with an overnight low of 3. So they're getting up there a little bit, aren't they, the temperatures? The forecast is fine, but some cloudy mornings and night, and with a northerly breeze. And the sunrise is going to be at 6:49 a.m. with the sunset at 6:17 p.m. Tides for Tuesday are a high at 3:04 a.m. and 2:28 p.m. and the low is at 9:15 a.m. and 9:41 p.m. Right, our programmes for tonight. We have 2 here. We've got Megan Peacock-Coyle, who is the director of Opera House here up the main street, and she's going to be sharing thoughts on what goes on there, so that should be very interesting. And the second programme is from our archives here at 45South, from Annette Knoll, who is going to tell us some more strange stories. And this one is particularly interesting if you like potatoes, because it's on the potato blight. So 2 of stories for tonight's programme.
We're up at the Oamaru Opera House, and I'm speaking with Megan Peacock-Coyle, who's the director here. And I do believe we should have had a welcome to the Opera House, and now you're leaving, Megan.
Yes, this is a bit strange.
Anyway, we'll start with, what did you expect? What did you know about Oamaru and the Opera House before you came?
I actually very little about either. And when I looked at the job description and everything in the town, I thought I'd give it a go. And my husband had called in here for a pizza on a road trip that he was doing, and he remembered thinking it was a great little town, so we came down for the interview. And actually it was quite interesting because we sat on the swing. That was all that was in Friendly Bay at the time, was the swing, and we sat there, and that's where we decided that we would come and live in Oamaru if I got the job. So the Opera House was very, very much a factor in applying for the job. So my previous role was Arts Programming Manager at the Hawke's Bay Opera House, and that had been refurbished 3-4 years prior.
Is that the one that's also been required to upgrade even further?
It's now closed. It'll be closed for approximately 3 years. Yeah, with about $5 million worth of earthquake striking on the line.
Anyway, so you were saying about Hawke's Bay, of course, but going back, what is your background? And have you studied somewhere? Have you got a passion?
My passion is theatre.
Good.
So I was brought up on the stage. My mother's a musical director in amateur theatre.
Yes.
And she's been doing that for the last nearly 40 years. She just received a QSN 2 years ago from the Governor-General for her commitment to community theatre.
Wonderful.
So that was lovely. And I have a diploma in performing arts and acting. So I started out in acting, and then I went on and did a BA double major in theatre and screen and media. And then I went to Toifukari Drama School, the New Zealand Drama School, and did a Masters in Theatre Arts directing. So that's my sort of training background.
But working for council, you would have had the years with the Hawke's Bay, and you'd be with the local authority up there.
Yes, I was at the Hawke's Bay Opera House for 5 years.
Yes, yes. So when you got here, and the programs that were running, and really we hadn't been operating it again for very long since the theatre was upgraded. Can you remember what all it had, and do you know where the changes have been?
Yes, I mean the refurbishment had been done very well. There were a lot of areas that had upgraded the Opera House, and specifically in the backstage area, and that was really important in getting promoters, national and international promoters, to stop here. So I think that was a huge start to making that happen. There's a lot of areas, and there still is a lot of areas for growth here. I think the most important thing is the connection between the promoters coming and the audience, and making sure that the audience are coming so that the promoters come. So it's kind of, it's quite tricky, because I've managed to get a lot of promoters to stop here that hadn't normally. So through my connections at the Hawke's Bay Opera House, when they came through, they kind of were loyal to the work I'd done for them previously, and so they did stop here. And one example of that is the 7 Irish tenors, which sold out. So I was very pleased, because those promoters had never been here before. So that was a very fuel moment, because they were very demanding, and wanted to, very demanding. If you don't sell tickets, we won't come back. And so, and this is what I mean when I say, if we don't sell tickets, they won't come back. And they're very, very upfront about that.
Well, I'm intrigued. The full page advertisements, this will indicate the date that we've done this interview. The full page advertisement for Rod Stewart coming next April, and the real pressure to get the numbers before they come. But obviously they watch the bottom line.
Absolutely.
So is there a difference between straight theatre as against what I call concert, music type concert, when you talk about the 7 tenors, and then we had with Helen Clark, that combination of local and the music, and an issue fundraising? I mean, do you have a feel for what we ought to be concentrating on further in the future?
Well, I think the thing that needs to be concentrated on is the commercial product, because that sells, and it seems to work in Oamaru. I think those big shows are really popular. So they're commercial, they come in, they're usually international promoters. Such as we've got one coming up, the John Denver show. We've got Top Twins, which is a local show, but we've also got the Irish Tenors. The Irish Rovers.
Irish Rovers, right.
So those 3 shows are all selling exceptionally well.
Right.
And that's what we call commercial entertainment.
Right.
Opposed to the theatre work, a lot of New Zealand professional theatre that comes through doesn't get big audiences. But there is an audience in Oamaru for it. So we do get, on average, sort of 50 people per show, and they love the work. They come out and they thank me for bringing this work here. So it's quite hard, because you need the commercial product to be able to bring in other theatre work that enriches people's lives. It may not enrich so many, but it's still got to be available.
Well, it was interesting. I went to in Absentia the other night of the puppet show, and it was very emotional. Wonderful crowd. They thought it was wonderful. But I noticed, you see, on one night there was a percentage that went to the Alzheimer's Society. Is that an area where you are able to link in the local with the travelling?
Absolutely, and that's that idea of, so for me, or for my role as director, what my 3 focuses are: commercial, community and cultural. So the commercial obviously is to try and make as much revenue, so that takes away the amount that the ratepayers have to pay. So the more revenue that the Opera House can make, the less the ratepayers have to pay. But also there's a huge community and cultural commitment too, because it is a council facility. So by being able to link some of the work with community organisations and help them, it's also, it's trying to get new audiences in, because you get people in that have never seen work like that before. It opens up the world and it makes you go, I'm going to go and see more of that type of work. So, and it also helps a local organisation. So $10 of every ticket that was sold on the Monday night was donated to the Alzheimer's Society. And I just think that's what we should be here to do, is to help those societies.
It was excellent. And the Community Arts Council has a link, but in fact it's, to a certain extent, we need to get them tied in, the various groups like the operatic and theatre. Anne Harris's dance was always very popular. I'm just thinking, perhaps if we slip into a slightly different angle, we've got the different places where people can perform. Like while we're here now, we've got Riddle and Rhyme in the building, in the room next door to us, with children in pushchairs and all coming upstairs. I mean, that's great to see that variety of families coming in and using it. Do you feel we've got all the spaces in their right uses?
I think we're getting there. I think Riddle and Rhyme is a free space, so the Opera House gives the library that space every Friday, and I love when they come in. I especially love sitting in my office and hearing the little kids, the singing, and it's wonderful. It's a great place to work. But it's great to have them in, and we've also adapted the cafe more to accommodate children. We've put in napkin changing tables, and we've put in toy boxes and sort of promoting it as a space so that when they finish here they can stay and enjoy a coffee. And so definitely trying to make the foyer much, much more accessible. But we also, we have Riddle and Rhyme in there, but we also have a very important council meeting in the room next door, and I think that's what's great. And then we might have a show in the theatre where they're rehearsing, so that the place is humming. And that's what I see this Opera House being. I see it being a hub where people meet, where families come together to enjoy entertainment, where children can come and play. And I think that's really what's important.
Well, we're going to go down and have a look backstage at those areas, but just thinking and linking back to the Hawke's Bay Theatre, that's a much bigger population.
It is.
And was their theatre much the same number of spaces or size? How was its usage, do you reckon, in comparison?
Well, I would say it was probably twice the size of here, almost like the big sister. So it had a 1,000-seater theatre, 3-tiered opera house.
Yes.
It also had a ballroom, 350 dining ballroom, and an assembly room and an outside plaza which had a retractable roof. So it was a massive building. The population of Hastings is approximately 60,000, I think, and then with Napier alongside another 50. So much bigger population, but I think the hardest thing that has been in Oamaru is the population is so small, and the stats are approximately 12% of a population appreciates the arts. So that's fairly minimal. So you think 12% of 13,000, there's only really 1,000 people in Oamaru that actually appreciate the arts or come to the Opera House.
It's rather like we feel spoilt, but our bank balance isn't as spoiling.
Yeah, and it's lovely that people appreciate it and see it. I get comments all the time from people saying the Opera House is just buzzing and there's work going on, but my reply to them is, when was the last time you came to a show?
Yes.
And I'm like, well, come. Yes, come in. And that was my challenge in the newspaper article was,
I know,
if you haven't been here, just come. I challenge you to come.
I read that, and it's interesting. I mean, we have had that repeated, like the hospital. You think of it, it's use it or lose it, but there's only so many when you don't really wish to be ill too often,
No.
and having any more children beyond a certain age is still difficult. So, but I agree, this is a wonderful asset. But moving on, and you are moving on, where are you moving on to, what to do?
I'm moving to Tauranga
Yes.
to take up the role of manager of the Bay Court Community and Arts Centre.
Now that, as a centre, that must be a lot of little groups that are using spaces. Not necessarily, are they all in one building or not?
It is. It's a theatre and an exhibition space.
Is that like the Palmerston North had something fairly similar like that as well? Is that, yes, rather, because they've got the active theatre, but they've got exhibition spaces. Have they not as well?
I'm not sure about Palmerston North.
Right, no, well, thinking about Tauranga, has it got an exhibition space?
It has one exhibition space and a theatre.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
Nine staff. So
9 staff.
9 staff.
Yes. Well, that's an issue as well. So what are their different skills then?
Well, they're much busier because they have 115,000 people.
Yes.
So if you put the Opera House on if we had 115,000 people in Oamaru, we'd be much busier too. So yeah.
We would.
Yeah.
We would. Yes.
So really, that's all it comes down to. Is that, obviously the more people you have, the more they come.
Absolutely. Yes.
So.
Have you got repeat mentions of definitely we'd love to come again? Do you feel for it?
Absolutely.
Yes. Like the ballet, they're always pleased. Wonderful with the schools.
Yes, definitely. The people that come to the Opera House love it, and it really is. I believe it is on the national stage. That I know myself. I'm quite vocal and involved in the whole arts industry. So I attend a lot of the conferences, and I'm very passionate about this place.
Yes.
And that will show in the replacement of me, because already I've had 3 people nationally that have approached me about applying for this role. So that really shows you that the Oamaru Opera House is on the national stage.
So the highlights and the low lights when you lay awake at night and worried.
Yeah, that's most nights. But the highlight definitely for me was the Dame Courage Carnival concert. That was really exciting. In fact, I spoke recently to her manager, who I arranged that whole concert with, and he said to me, "We haven't visited Tauranga, maybe we could do a special concert in Tauranga."
Oh!
So I'm like going, "Oh, great!" But no, that was just a special. I felt like it was exciting for the town. It was really exciting for the Opera House, and I think what it did is it reinforced all those people that supported this refurbishment, that it was the right thing to do, because without it she would never have come here. So I think, and it was the only concert in 2013 in New Zealand. It will always be remembered as that, and it was profitable, and it was just a wonderful experience. Yeah, it brought a lot of people from out of town as well. So it was definitely my highlight.
So we're skipping past all those nights that you lay awake and worry, are we? Is it more stressful, for the bookings ahead? I mean, it is a case of getting a program. Is that is a delicate balance that you're always running with? It
is, and the programming is about making sure that there's something for everybody, but without sacrificing revenue. It's trying to have some of that smaller, eclectic sort of work in, but knowing that if it doesn't sell, it's not going to cost any money. That's what's really important, because there is no real budget, but you work it so that you know that you're going to come out with all your direct costs covered, that still provide something for people to see. So those aren't very nail-biting.
I don't know. Well, look, we thank you very much for your 3 years. How many?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. And it'll be wonderful, because you're also an ambassador for Oamaru, the Oamaru Opera House now.
Absolutely.
So with that goes our very good wishes, and now we're going to go walk about around the Opera House, and we'll look at some of the spaces and talk about what's been happening.
Absolutely.
All the best. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you, Helen.
We found what used to be in the centre of the front of the Opera House with the light behind it. Incorporated town of Oamaru, 1866. And lots of people have been saying, can we put it back up there? But there is lighting behind that changes as well, does it not, Megan?
I'm not entirely sure how it was before, but I'm
Yes.
not sure, sorry.
Anyway, well, it's got a happy home here. So we're now in the green room, and is it getting a lot of use, Megan?
It is. It's a really great community space, so you can use the space for free. All we ask as an organisation is that you sign an MOU or a Memorandum of Understanding, and all that's required is a commitment once a year to a working bee. So once a year we have a bit of a clean up. We do all the little things like the cobwebs and the weeds and clean some of the windows that don't get cleaned very often, and then you can use this meeting room if it's available whenever you like for organisational meetings or gatherings.
Now, above us, they're all dressing rooms.
Yes.
How many dressing rooms on this side, this wing, which is the new part, and how many, and we're going to go down in a moment into the ones that are actually behind the stage.
Sure.
So how many upstairs?
There's two ensemble dressing rooms, so basically those are quite big rooms for larger groups.
Right.
And then the smaller rooms are the existing rooms behind the stage. So.
Is it a case of, do they, when you rent out or lease out for an event, do they indicate their requirements of, we've got a cast of X numbers, right? Okay, and they make the decisions on what we've got, or you go looking for what you think is going to fit?
We basically tell them what we've got, and then they fit their cast in that.
So the most difficult, perhaps, with all their wardrobe would be the ballet, was it?
No, the ballet is okay. The biggest one we had was the California Youth Orchestra. There was 112 then, and then another 80 from Christchurch, the Christchurch Youth Orchestra. Yes. So we had nearly 200 young adults to house. Yes. So that was challenging.
Yes. Yes. And having laundry facilities and all that must make it easier or harder?
Much easier for the touring companies, because there's a lot of theatres in New Zealand that still don't have a washing machine and dryer or a laundry area. So we actually have a laundry room and a wardrobe room.
Okay, well, we'll go and look at backstage and possibly under the stage too. And then we might also go and stand on, I'm not sure what it's called, the deck where everybody offloads or loads up again.
Sure.
Right.
Okay.
We're away.
Lovely.
So now you can see the outside wall of the Opera House itself, and they've incorporated the old heating units down the side there, and then the rest of all this is brand spanking new, with access in and out on both sides. I've just asked Megan, what is this area for? And it is...
It's a service lift where we lift all the lighting equipment and piano and any tables and decks that we need for on stage.
Great.
gets lifted.
So, when was the last time you tread the boards for a show?
I haven't tread the boards here, but I played Liza Doolittle in My Fair Lady.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Do you sing, although Eliza didn't actually sing, did she? It was more of a speaky
Yeah, I do sing.
pattern. And you sing too?
Yes, I do.
Oh, do we get 2 minutes?
No, not today. But as you can see, there's, well, I don't know if you can see, but there's lots of mechanics. You able to do an upshot? Going on backstage.
And this is the access out to the...
That's the scene dock, where all
Right.
the trucks load in.
Okay. Do we go out this way to it?
Yes.
Right. Before we do, though, we'll go underneath.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. These tables, how many do they seat around it?
8.
Right, yes. And then this is the only piano we have stored?
It is. It's an upright Steinway.
Right, yes. What did Hawke's Bay have?
They had a grand piano and a baby grand piano.
Right. And the price of a grand?
Price of a Steinway, which is what I would suggest was purchased, would be 250,000.
Right. Yes, on our Christmas list.
Not only do you have to buy the piano, but then you have to create a room for it.
Oh,
so
for the
it
temperature.
has to be temperatured room.
Right. And coming round,
so
what
we
else is
store
stored here?
All our lights, extra lights that we require when we have big events in. Our Christmas tree. It's stored down here, and all our staging and leggings and other tables and bits and pieces, and the ability to do alterations on sets.
How much of a chore, really, well, no, it's organisational factor of keeping all this in good working order?
Well, that's our tech manager's job, so that's very much a part of his job, is building maintenance and looking after our assets.
Right, yes.
And then, of course, through there is the orchestra pit.
Yes.
So we're directly under the stage here.
But do the folk for the orchestra pit move from the stage level down outside there, or they move in from here?
And straight through that
Straight
door.
through,
Yeah.
right, yes. How many or what size orchestra does it hold?
I think it holds, because the 3 front rows of the auditorium can be taken out, so it can be extended, and then the ceiling comes off, and it can hold up to 30.
And people, the demand then for an orchestra, for an orchestra pit?
No, there's very little demand, because companies, ballets and can't tour with orchestras anymore.
No.
The cost is too prohibitive. So we've only used it really for the local musical theatre, Oamaru Productions.
And the speaker system for recording, recording on stage?
We don't do recording on stage, no.
Because I think we've used our system. Yes, good.
We don't have the system for recording, only for public
events,
sound events. Yeah.
Okay, well we'll go and have a look at the downstairs behind the stage, backstage.
The scene dock.
Well, yes, that, and where people are doing changes, etc. So we've got bathrooms or showers.
The dressing rooms. Yeah.
Right.
This is our book of memories. So we've got a poster of the event, and then basically the acts sign it. We've got photos.
You guys are wonderful.
What I love about this is that in 100 years' time, someone's going to read through this and find it very fascinating.
Yes.
Aren't they?
Lovely old room, yes.
It's lovely. We have Dame Curry in here too. There's some bottom.
Yes.
I wonder if I can find. I'll just see if I can find Dame Curry because she could sign up.
Right.
Dame Curry page in the signature.
Yes.
From her and Terence Dennis.
Of course, because he was the accompanist. Brilliant. 27th of March.
So very proud of that. Because that's pretty much from the day I started to now. So I'm hoping the new director carries it all.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're in Heritage 3. And yes, they are impressed with the good solid stone walls.
Definitely. So this is where trucks load in.
Yep.
Back their trucks in and all the gear gets loaded straight onto the stage.
Yes.
So if you enjoy watching 45 South, as you should do, you should be able to give us some comments of how things are going. So you can ring us on 027 4567 884, or you might like to email us on south45tv@yahoo.co.nz. And of course, everyone likes to see you call in at the studio, which is 17 Itchen Street. And also remember that we're on Facebook too, so you might like to Facebook us as well. So enjoy tonight's programs and have a safe evening. Thank you.